Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's your boy, Nolan Hawkeye Anthony, here, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. I know I am thus far. There is a huge commitment this week with actually coming up in a matter of minutes or so, a running back out of the state of Illinois. We will keep you guys updated on how that goes. I'm going to talk about it a little bit and go over it. But what we are going to do, we are going to give you the definitive answer on how, at the very least, the Big Ten West will finish. I'm going to line it up with Athlon Sports, how they predict things will go. And I got to tell you, usually, at the very least, I get how Iowa will finish pretty spot on. So I am happy with that. We're also going to give you guys the all Kirk Ferentz defensive team. We gave you guys the offensive team last week, which you guys can check out on YouTube. Which, before I throw it over to Dean, I want to ask you guys to hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot when you do that. We're almost up to 50 subscribers for Nolan Hawkeye Anthony. And listening to the podcast, if you can listen through Anchor, you guys can find it anywhere, but listening through Anchor especially helps. And of course, be sure to go to 247hawkeye.com. And to answer some of your guys' questions with regards to the articles on 247hawkeye.com, I recently started a new job as a behavior analyst. And so it has taken up a lot of my time. There has not been a ton of news when it comes to Iowa, but I will be getting back into that. You guys seem to enjoy the stuff we put out. Last year, we were the only place who was honest about all of the allegations and all of that stuff that was going on. So I appreciate the love and the support. And at the very least, if you can't subscribe, like, comment, and share the show. There was one guy who shared, not just one guy in general, but one individual shared the show, and it took the video from about 500 plays to almost 1,000. Matter of fact, Jacob Bostic, the wide receiver commit, he retweeted out one of the videos, and if he can do it, you can do it. All right, Dean, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great today. Thank you. I'm slowly recovering from my knee injury, but it has not kept me from working out. I've found a way to do it without involving my knee.
So last week, Dean had a little, he fell down some stairs. He couldn't stay on his feet. That happens sometimes, and had to ice it up, just tipping over. And that's how it goes sometimes. And by the way, if you want to check out Dean's YouTube channel, which goes over his journey with weight loss, go ahead and check it out. I'll put the link in the description. All right. I'm going to run through some of the news that has happened this week, and then we're going to get into the main attractions. I'm going to try and keep this the 138th episode. It might be 139. I'm not sure. But I think 138, under 45 minutes. The biggest news, in my opinion, is Brody Brecht coming back or going to Iowa. He made his announcement. I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. He made his announcement. He did not get drafted. And, you know, me and Dean said he was going to play at Iowa. You know, the reality is that the Iowa media loves to make things seem much bigger than they are. I think I read an article where the confidence meter was like a 5 when it came to Brody Brecht coming to play at Iowa, never mind the fact that he was a lifelong Iowa Hawkeye fan. He grew up in the state of Iowa, and his favorite sport, it seems, to be football. And that was the confidence meter. And reading through the lines here, what seems to be what it came down to would definitely be there was a financial area that Brody said that teams needed to meet in order to take him away from playing for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And I think that that was the correct way to go about it. And as I said, when I was talking about his decision, you know, we've heard from guys like Joel Klatt on FS1, it really takes a certain individual who can go from high school into the pros, because as great as it seems from the outside, the reality is with Major League, actually not Major League Baseball, but professional baseball, it is torture traveling all around the country in buses. You're going to smaller towns or smaller areas as opposed to playing in the big cities. So it is very, very hard. This is what he said. This process has been truly amazing and unforgettable. I would first like to thank God. Without him, none of this would be possible. Thank the big guy upstairs. I would then like to thank my parents, sister, and the rest of my family for the endless love and support. I would also like to thank my girlfriend, Taylor. Hopefully they don't break up. That would suck with that. Who has supported me through it all and has been my shoulder to lean on. Thank you to all my friends, teammates, and coaches for pushing me to become the player I am today, and for the unforgettable memories we have made. And don't forget, folks, his best friend, or one of his close friends at Ankeny, Arlan Bruce, is already at Iowa. The first day, it is nearly impossible to simulate the type of friendships that you can make playing in college and things like that. And just to put a bow on this, he says, but I have now found a home. I am extremely blessed and excited to announce my commitment to the University of Iowa. So he will be playing for Iowa, and this is a huge win. Dean, what are your thoughts on this?
It's a fantastic win for Iowa because he is one of the highest rated wide receivers, if not the highest rated wide receiver ever to commit to Iowa.
Yep.
And so
not ever, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in a long time, maybe in our recent era or something. Right. I don't know. But he is one of the best that ever committed in the wide receiver. And the thing is, the baseball team gets a good one too, because baseball team,
no, I agree. He is a legit prospect for the major league as well as in the NFL. For me, I see him being able to play multiple positions at 6'5". He could play the position that Brandon Smith played. He has that type of athleticism. And I wouldn't be shocked if Iowa builds him up into a tight end. And outside of him, it looks like Iowa had two guys drafted in Nick I think it's Algier. I believe that's it. He was drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays, and that is a nice pickup for him. And the second pick that Iowa had was Drew Irvine. And let me tell you something, guys. Iowa baseball, the success that Rick Heller has had putting guys into the MLB draft, I'm not sure we've ever seen that at the University of Iowa. So it deserves to be commended, and it is most certainly a step in the right direction. And I am very happy for the guys that were drafted. The second guy, we'll see if he chooses to go play. If he chooses to leave Iowa, I don't think so. So, Dean, I wanted to go over this real quick before we get into anything. What you guys are seeing here on the screen is Kofi Cockburn putting his top 3 up of schools that he's going to be choosing from after he already chose Illinois coming out of high school. And he could have went to the NBA. And basically the way I'm reading this is he's kind of keeping Illinois fans in the balance. And if this was CJ Frederick that was doing this, I would be livid. And even though, you know, I seem to be decent friends with CJ's uncle, I would be livid, because if you announce your name in the transfer portal, it, in my eyes, I don't know how else to say it besides it is disrespectful to keep fans who have supported you big time, to throw them in the balance and put up some top 3 when you already did that. You already did that. You got your shine. You already did that. Now, here's my point. And I know maybe I'm making a big thing. What's the saying? A mole out of a molehill? I don't know what it's called.
Out of an anthill.
A mole out of an anthill.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Here's the big thing for me is when I saw this, I thought to myself, this is why anybody else paying attention to recruiting besides, with heavy interest, besides, someone like me or Dean, and even then, it is very, I wouldn't say foolish, but you're not going to get much out of it because more often than not, the player is going to choose a different school. And at the end of the day, it is all for shine. It is all to get pumped up. And it is a very real thing about the dopamine hit that comes with something like this. There's no reason that this guy should be doing that. Now, changing gears real quick, I want to show some highlights from Spencer Petras, my guy here, throwing some routes with, let's see what his with I think his quarterback coach's name is Stapio or something like that. It seems Italian, but here's some balls that he's throwing with his quarterback coach. It's important to note that Nate Stanley is with this quarterback coach as well. And Nate Stanley had never had a quarterback coach outside Tony Rasiapi. He had never had a quarterback coach outside of, high school coaches and then Ken O'Keefe at the college level. And, Dean, I got to say, I like it a lot. I like that he is getting out there and he's working. It looks really good. I've always said that Spencer can absolutely spin it. And, there maybe one of the weeks last week, I went off of the bandwagon when Iowa went 0-2, and there were guys that were getting into the transfer portal. And things just seemed really bad, but then Iowa came together and pushed through like a power train. And it all went much better. It's also important to note that Iowa is in on a 4-star quarterback who his coach is Tony Rasiapi as well. So Dean, I don't know if you saw this. Here's some other throws. What did you think about Spencer Petras spinning it around a little bit?
Honestly, I love the idea that he hired this coach to help him.
Oh yeah,
help him because he needed to get his accuracy down. His mechanics, they say that the mechanics and the accuracy go together. So I'm guessing that the mechanics needed a little bit of work. And so this can only help Iowa. It can only help him. And we'll see how it goes with this. I'm anxious to see what the season brings.
We will see how it goes. I'm excited too. I actually think that Spencer is going to have a big year. I really do. Last year, for a pro-style quarterback who is unable to have the practice time that Iowa was unable to have, it is important. And to Iowa fans, all I'm saying is this: just keep an open mind. Don't be the hashtag quarterback guy, because you're going to end up being wrong many times over. And, a guy like me is just going to come after you. It's the simple answer to a much more difficult problem. And so we'll see. Listen, Dean, I am expecting Spencer to have a nice season. I think Tyrone Tracy is going to be nice, but let's hold it until we get into the next segment. Diving into the Big Ten West, I want to predict, and I'm going to tell you how the Big Ten West is going to finish this upcoming season. And again, congratulations to all the Iowa Hawkeyes who were drafted. I will keep you guys updated on Aiden Laffrey to see if he chose the Iowa Hawkeyes. Before that decision comes, I will say this: Iowa needs to win that battle, and the decision may already be over, but here's why. Iowa swung and missed on multiple guys last year that they had a very reasonable shot to get. I think that they ended up with a very, very strong running back. And there we have it. He has chosen Illinois, and Iowa has missed on their running back. And they already have a running back. Iowa has missed, and that is that. Iowa is losing to new head coach Brett Bielema. They're losing to Iowa State, and I don't care how good Iowa State does. Iowa should be winning 70% of the time. I wish I would not have said anything about this guy's commitment because I had a funny feeling that was going to happen. But my panic meter is at a 7, full blown right now, because if we take a look here, I'm going to pull up the guys that Iowa had on official visits. Okay. I'm going to pull up the guys that Iowa had on official visits, and I don't want to spend too much time on this. I really don't, because as I said, recruiting, it's out of our wheelhouse, but it is important to note what's going on here. I'm going to pull up the official visits and look at how many guys Iowa has already missed on. And in previous years, after the official visit weekend, Iowa has 5 to 10 guys committing, which is what I was banking on when I said, be patient, be patient. This is not good. It's a swing and a miss for Liddell Betts. I thought he was going to come to Iowa and just whip it up into shape. That's a swing and a miss right there. We'll see how Iowa does. But as you guys can see, West Virginia got this guy, Christian Stokes, and they are favored to get another Landon Livingston. He's favored to go to West Virginia. 2 positions that Iowa is phenomenal at: defensive back and offensive line. And you guys can see Iowa has missed. These are all the guys who went to official visits, and I expected them to have 5 guys commit after that weekend. And so far, only 1 has committed since the official visit weekend to Iowa, which is wide receiver Jacob Bostic. And I think Iowa will have a hell of a time keeping him at Iowa, but we will see how it plays out. I think with the official visit weekend, guys, Iowa may land 1 more guy. I think they're going to miss on Xavier Nwankpa, the number 1 guy out of Iowa. Carson Hinsman out of Wisconsin, I think they're going to miss on. The only guy I think that they are going to land or possibly land would be Brian Allen, the defensive tackle. And that would bring it to 2 guys who went to the official visit weekend that Iowa landed. So, Dean, let's move on. This is bad juju. And honestly, I'm getting a little upset talking about it. It is not good. It is not good. But let's transition here. And I'm going to tell you guys how the Big Ten West is going to finish. But first, before I do that, I want to mention going to 247hawkeye.com. And please consider hitting that subscribe button. It really means a lot when you do that. And if you are going to listen to the podcast, please listen through Anchor. But you guys can find it anywhere. So it's all good. And at the very least, comment. We live all the way in California. So it's awesome when you guys comment and chat with us a little bit. All right, Dean. Let's look at the Big Ten West. And, you know, off of the top of my mind right now, for me, I'm curious about some of the things that you have been seeing around the Big Ten. What are your initial thoughts on specifically the Big Ten West and how that is going to shape up? What are your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts is that the sports writers and the preseason broadcasters, they're picking teams based on history. They're not picking based on what they've got coming back, or anything like that. You know, like the broadcasters, most of them are picking Wisconsin to win the West, and they're having Iowa finish second, like you just scrolled through there.
Yep.
And the thing they're saying is Iowa, and this is where Petrus comes in. Iowa can be the difference between second and first place in the West or
Spencer Petrus can be the difference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And so they feel as he goes, if everything goes well, Iowa can, take over the number 1 spot. And so that's,
I like it.
I do have an opinion, but I'll save it until you're ready for it.
Okay.
On the standings.
Let's do it. I like it. I agree with those initial thoughts completely. One thing you guys will see with power rankings or preseason polls is the name of the school is picked more so than what the school has returning and things like that. But without further ado, I'm going to give you guys, we're going to go from the bottom all the way to the top, and I'm going to tell you guys how it's going to finish and why I think it's going to finish that way. Now, for me, the Big Ten West, the bottom tier is Purdue, Illinois, and Nebraska. And as I said last week, Scott Frost, I fully think he is on the hot seat. There's no reason he should not have won yet more games. His record right now is absolutely abysmal. There's too much talent there to not be winning. And at that point, all the focus has to go to the coach. If that same roster was at Iowa, I would expect Iowa to win 9, 10 games each season. Ultimately, for me, with the bottom spot, I think you're really splitting hairs. I'm not going to lie. And as we're seeing here, Purdue is at number 6 and Illinois is at number 7. And for me, Dean, I really think that Illinois with Brett Bielema, actually, they didn't lose that much with Lovie Smith departing. So for me, if Brett Bielema can come in and get a little bit of quarterback situation in there, I think they can be okay. And again, guys, this is splitting hairs. I think that these guys are gonna win 5 games, 6 at the most. But what I'm gonna go with Purdue finishing last. I don't think the success that we've seen beforehand with Purdue, they have had one of the best wide receiver positions, but I don't think they have the defense. I think that Jeff Brom is on the hot seat. I think they will miss Rondell Moore a lot. As we see here, Purdue is at number 6. And, it says that Brad Lambert is a solid hire to improve the defense. But for me, it's probably too little, too late. And I have Purdue finishing 7th. Dean, I'm going to turn it over to you. We're going to go back and forth, and I want you to tell me why you have the team where you have it. Who do you have at 7?
Okay, well, let me start with I do have Nebraska, Purdue, and Illinois at the bottom of my list. Okay. I got Illinois there for one reason and one reason only. There is a lot of talent there, but Brett Bielema's style is to pound and ground, and he doesn't have the horses to do that yet. Unless he's willing to change the way he coaches and his style of football and go more to a Lovie Smith type of football game, it's not going to happen this year for them. Now, he has to build these guys up. He has to build his offensive lineup. He has to make them big. He has to make them big bruisers like Wisconsin. I fully expect Brett Bielema to turn Illinois into a Wisconsin type of team.
Wow.
And he doesn't right now. He doesn't have the players for that because those players aren't made for that. They're made more for a wide open offense, and really they're not that great on defense right now. And so,
they are not. My thing with Illinois, Dean, is, the question at the end of the day is, has Brett Bielema learned enough from Arkansas where he failed to Illinois? I know he was a success at Wisconsin, a big success, but at a school like Illinois, can he get it done? And, it being his 3rd stint, coaches will know how he does things, the type of style he has. So it will be very interesting, but I tend to agree with you that Illinois will move in the right direction. I thought Lovie Smith was a good hire, and that did not happen. And as I tell you guys all the time, Illinois is the biggest underperforming team with the amount of talent that comes out of Illinois. I know Northwestern is in that state, and yes, Illinois is going to have to compete with Northwestern, but it is what it is. Now, for me, Dean, at number 6, I'm going to go, and again, it really is a toss-up, okay? But for me, I will probably go with Illinois. I would not be shocked if Nebraska was there, but for me, I'm going to go with 6. For all the reasons I just said, I don't think that they have a quarterback. I think it is going to be a rough year. I think Illinois might beat 1 or 2 teams that they shouldn't, but the consistent game in, week in, week out type of performance that you need to be successful in the Big Ten. I just don't think Illinois will have it, but we will see. And as you guys can see here, some of the transfers, former 4-star Arthur, I think it's Arthur Sitowski, and some other guys. So it will be interesting to see how it goes. All right, Dean, who do you have at 6?
I have Purdue.
Okay.
Here's the reasoning on Purdue being there at 6. Purdue, again, is built around a wide open offense. And we're finding that in the West, the Big Ten West, you need to be more physical, more defensive. Yeah, I mean, and yes, they do win games with that wide open offense if the other team's defense is not quite up to par and you're able to find a way to behind their linebackers and DBs. That will help. However, I just don't think in the West, and I think it's proved last year, is that the wide open offenses work as well as or as consistently. And so that's the reason why Purdue's at number 6.
Okay. Dean's got Purdue at 6. We're a little flip-flop there. At 5, I'm going to kind of go quicken the pace here. At 5, I have Nebraska. Listen, guys, I'm not big on Nebraska. I've seen zero reason to be excited about them. The only thing that is somewhat positive about Nebraska is the talent that they do have and all the chirping that everybody else does. But, you know, the folks that have listened to this show a lot, you guys know that I have not been high on them, and I remain the same way. And I think with the schedule and, you know, Adrian Martinez being Adrian Martinez, I think Nebraska will be lucky to win 6 or 7 games. So I have Nebraska at 5. Dean, you're up.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I've got Nebraska, also number 5. And for all the same reasons. And they lost a lot after last year.
Yes, great point.
They had a lot of people depart that team. I just don't see how Scott Frost can turn it around. And last show, I told you that I felt Scott Frost was safe this year, even if he had a losing season. I'm now going to say that he is on the hot seat. He needs to go to at least a bowl game. I don't know where, because I forgot that they hired a new athletic director, and this athletic director, he may not be patient.
Thank you for bringing that up. He may want to
win now and find a guy that he likes to run that team. And
so, there were a lot of people messaging me about the Nebraska thing, which, by the way, Iowa fans, in my eyes, it is better to be competitive with Nebraska than it is Iowa State. I don't understand that. But that's just listen, I live in California, so it's probably different for me, but it's just, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, for me, where we want to get to, Nebraska has been there, and I think we can be there. But yeah, Dean, a lot of people messaged me about the athletic director being fired. And, you know, this is alleged, what I had been told that, you know, well, actually, I'm not going to go there, but let's just say that the situation there is not great. And you better believe that the new athletic director that comes to Nebraska will be putting the heat on Scott Frost. And I just don't see it happening. All right, number 4. All right, guys, I have at number 4, Minnesota. And here's the deal. I think that the one year that Minnesota did really well, it was a great season. It was a great campaign. But for me, the schedule was what it was. It was one of the easiest schedules And when Minnesota played tough teams, they lost. They lost to Iowa. And, just the one team that comes to mind, they were 3-4 last year after having Tanner Morgan, who was considered a top 3 quarterback in the Big Ten. Okay. In the Big Ten. So for me, Minnesota has a lot of question marks still. I think they're better than Nebraska, but I don't have them as top tier in the Big Ten West. And I have them finishing 4th. And you guys can see here some of the strengths, some of the concerns. Dean, who do you have finishing 4th in the Big Ten West?
Northwestern.
Nice.
I think Northwestern takes a little bit of a slip. They lost an awful lot.
They did.
And going through some of the magazines, it turns out that they've only got about 60% of their production coming back.
Wow.
This year. And so they lost an awful lot of people. And so I just think, as good as Pat Fitzgerald is, his teams do when they're good, like last year.
Yep.
But this year is not going to be that year. When we predicted last year, I told you it wouldn't surprise me if Northwestern jumped up and won the West, and they did.
You did say that.
I said, because I said that usually Northwestern follows a bad season with a very good season, but they also have a tendency to drop considerably after that good season. So I've got them at number 4 for the reasons I stated.
Yep, they finished first in the Big Ten West. Then they barely won 5 games the last season. Listen, guys, at number 3, I have Northwestern, and you know what? Actually, I don't have Northwestern. Okay, I have Wisconsin, and I'll get to Northwestern and why I have Northwestern second here in a moment. The reason I have Wisconsin, guys, and I actually had a Freudian slip there, because in the Big Ten West, we are told to have Wisconsin at the top. And at the end of the day, I did not see anything from last season when Iowa whooped on them to be excited about this upcoming year, including quarterback play. And that is a huge concern in my eyes. I'm way more comfortable with Spencer Petras than I am with Wisconsin's quarterback, Graham Mertz. And I know even Iowa fans will be like, dude, that's crazy. But I am. I do not have a ton of confidence in Graham Mertz. And I think that they are only being projected to finish first because of their name. If you look at the data, they're lucky to be in the top 25. So I have Wisconsin finishing 3rd. Dean, who do you have at number 3?
Number 3 is Wisconsin.
Nice.
And just pretty much for all the reasons why you just said that you had them at number 4, I think. For the same reasons, Mertz came out of the gate because nobody knew anything about him. He was able to get lucky, and then they got all the kind of the COVID issues going on. And then when Wisconsin finally got back on the field, they weren't the same team. They didn't look like the same team. And they certainly, when Iowa played them, and that was at the end of the year, did not look anything like the Wisconsin teams of the past.
Yep. They did not. They got whooped. And yes, they did. Wisconsin had a few guys out last year when Iowa played Wisconsin. But, at the end of the day, I can't use that as an excuse. Both teams have guys that are injured, and Iowa absolutely whooped on them. All right, number 2, I have Northwestern, and here's why, folks. In my eyes, I can see Northwestern winning the Big Ten. I don't have them winning the Big Ten, but I do see them. I can see them finishing high, or I can see them sinking down much further down than what they finished last year. And it comes down to how they're able to replace what they lost from last year. And, one thing that Northwestern has been doing that I'm not sure that you can bank on moving forward is going and finding a quarterback in the transfer portal. It will not always work. Last year, it worked out for them, but I'm not so sure that is a sustainable thing. when they were able to have Clayton Thorsten, that is much better to have a quarterback who is starting for you for multiple years, and you can pencil in 8, 9, 10 wins because you have, a strong signal caller back there. And I know those are some negative things I said, but if the quarterback play, and I'm not sure who's going to be the quarterback between Ryan Helsinki, the transfer from South Carolina, or Hunter Johnson, the former 5-star. Don't let that fool you, from Clemson. We'll see who wins that job, but I would not be surprised if Northwestern finishes second. Matter of fact, I have them finishing second. Dean, who do you have finishing second in the Big Ten West?
Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah. I think Minnesota is again poised to make a similar run like they did last year. I think Tanner, what's his last name?
Morgan
Tanner. Yeah. He had a bad year last year, but he's better quarterback than what he showed. And I believe he didn't have his top receiver all year because his top receiver decided to sit the year out and now went to the draft, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Okay. And so I believe he's got a couple of receivers that he can depend on this year to throw the ball to. So I just think after a year of learning and him taking the hits and the things, he's just too good of a quarterback to keep down.
Yeah,
he really is. And
he is good.
I think the West title comes down to Tanner Morgan and Spencer Petras.
I like it. And number one, your boy Nolan has Iowa finishing first. Unlike other Hawkeye media sites, I don't think it's bad juju. I am strong in my convictions, and the past couple of years, I have been very spot on. Maybe they have not finished first, but I've said multiple times, that how talented the roster was. People calling me crazy last year, that last year's roster was one of the most talented up and down, despite Iowa having fantastic recruiting classes and a bunch of guys coming back, and we saw them have a top 15 type of season. Here's the deal. I don't have the season coming down to Spencer Petras. Whatever Spencer Petras can do that is above average is all extra. It's all gravy. For me, if Iowa can have Sam Laporta do what he does, have a decent second option at tight end, which I have all the confidence in the world Brian Ferentz will be able to do. If Tyler Goodson and the very strong running back group can do what they do, and and the offensive line is just average, but hopefully they're above average, and Tyrone Tracy and Nico Regani, aka Nico Raggiani, can have productive seasons, I don't see why Iowa can't average 30 plus points again next season. And I am not concerned in the slightest about Iowa's defensive line. I think it's going to be just fine. And I think that the linebacking core, people are sleeping on the Iowa linebacking core, but I'll be the first to tell you, this linebacking core is going to be lethal. Jack Campbell is going to be one of the best linebackers in the Big Ten. The two dudes who chose Iowa State will wish they chose Iowa. Seth Benson, I think he's phenomenal. And can't forget the four-star dude. For whatever reason, I'm blanking on his name right now. I'll pull it up. Out of Ohio, who chose Iowa, Justin Jacobs, out of Ohio, chose Iowa over Ohio State. And Iowa, to me, guys, is just the easy pick. They have a ton returning, and they're all productive. You look at all the Big Ten guys. Iowa is up there with Ohio State. Iowa is going to take home the Big Ten West title, and I fully expect them to compete with whoever the East has as a representative. And me and Dean will go over that. Maybe not this show, but sometime. Dean, who do you have winning the Big Ten West, baby?
Of course, the only team I haven't mentioned yet, the Iowa Hawkeyes. I just don't see
why.
Yeah, they're just poised. I mean, there's going to be improvement in Spencer. Nico Regani, he's got to have a better year this year than he had last year. I mean, I mean, he just had an off year last year, and so he's going to be better this year. We got all that young talent around, and as I predicted, you're going to hear it here first, here in July, that we're going to see another formation of the Wildcat, but this time Tyler Goodson will not be taking the handoff.
Okay. Who is it?
It will be Arlen Bruce with Tyler
Nice.
Goodson and Tryon Tracy on either side of him with some things they can do with that ball.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Dean, honestly, because guys, when has Iowa had the options? Not even last year. When has Iowa had the options that Dean just gave? You know, Arlen Bruce, Keegan Johnson, Tyrone Tracy, Nico Reganey, Sam Laporta, all these guys, I don't see why they can't play on Sundays. So this team is loaded. I know for the past 2 years, I have said that this is the most talented Iowa team. I think that this Iowa team is about it, at the very least, it's the same as last year. So it is one of the most talented Kirk Ferentz teams that he has had in his tenure. We'll see how much more talented it is. And don't forget about Xavier Williams, the transfer. And, you know, Iowa is good at punting. They're good at kicking. Tell me where there's a weakness.
There isn't really.
There isn't.
I mean, no, people are just, I think the only thing holding people back from, you know, giving Iowa big kudos this year is, you know, Spencer Petrus's lack of accuracy last year. But, you know, he was coming on strong at the end of the year.
Yes, he was.
You know, and it's just, like I said before, it was just too bad he didn't get those last 2 games that were scheduled to be played, because I think we would have saw more accuracy out of him and his stats would have looked a whole lot better going into this year than they currently do. You know, it just took him a while to figure it out, and he started to figure it out. And you guys saw that. I mean, you know, the difference between the first few games and the last few games is like day and night for him. And so
day and night.
This team is going to go a lot further than I think a lot of people do. But like I said, a lot of people predict them to finish second in the Big Ten West. I predict a first place finish. And, you know, that's how I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to change my mind.
This is our official how the Big Ten West is going to finish. And yeah, folks, I feel confident about that. This team is loaded. In my eyes, it is up there with Ohio State. It is loaded across the board. And there's some positions that I feel better about Iowa than I do about Ohio State. And, you know, there's a couple things that are holding people back from seeing Iowa the way that me and Dean do. Number one, they just don't know Iowa like me and Dean do. But secondly, Iowa has underperformed in some seasons. They have. And that is certainly possible. And they're also not sold on Spencer Petrus. But again, for Iowa, it's all about the run game. And for me, everything else is just gravy. It's just added. It's just an added bonus. All right, Dean, let's move on real quick to our all Kirk Ferentz, all defensive team. And this time I am going to allow you to go first. And I think, you know what? You can start it wherever you want. Secondary, linebacker, D-line, wherever you want to start it. You can start it, baby, and just get it rolling. Dean, who do you have with the first pick? Let's roll through this.
At defensive end, I have Matt Roth.
Nice. Matt Roth is a great selection. He was a little bit before my time, but when I wrote on 247hawkeye.com, the all Iowa team, Matt Roth was on that list. But for me, I am, and there's a lot of guys to choose from. There really is, especially on the D line. For me, I'm going to go with my guy AJ Epinesa. That dude was just a monster. It does not get much better than AJ Epinesa, and I'm going to go with AJ Epinesa for my first DN. My second defensive end. I'm going to go with Adrian Claiborne. As far as production goes, I think we've only seen a few guys have the type of production that Adrian Claiborne had. He had an excellent season with the Orange Bowl, and he was easily one of the coolest guys on the team. And he has carved out a nice niche in the NFL. Maybe not as strong as he could have been, but still very solid. Dean, who do you have at defensive end, your second defensive end spot?
Since you took my AJ Espinoza, I'll take Davion Nixon.
Okay. Wow. But hold on. He plays defensive tackle. He plays D tackle, but you can choose him at D end because we can choose. Yeah, that's fine.
I chose him. I chose him there because teams had a hard time keeping him back last year.
Yes, I like it. I like it a lot. Davion Nixon had a fantastic story and one of the most likable players there was. Okay, Dean, you're first with the defensive tackle pick. Who do you got?
Okay, my first pick at defensive tackle is Mitch King.
Excellent. The flow with the hair, the helmet flip. I loved it.
Yeah, and he had a haircut for his senior year.
Right. And he was honestly, he played with one of the best stretches in time of success that Iowa has had. For my defensive tackle, I'm going to choose Davion Nixon. I'm not sure that there has been a more disruptive defensive tackle. I would have liked to see him for one more season, but we didn't get that. Had he come back to Iowa and had a season like he had last year, he would have went in the first 2 rounds in the NFL draft, but he decided to go early, and more power to him. With the last defensive tackle, I don't know if I'm going to choose a defensive tackle as much as I'm going to choose just another defensive lineman. And I am going to go with Anthony Nelson. I think he is very underappreciated for the production he had. And he's as versatile as they come. You can play inside and outside. Dean, who do you have?
I have, I'm going to put, I had Adrian Claiborne, but you took him already. I'm going to go with Jonathan Babineau.
Wow. That's a good pick. Notable guys that were left off would be Jaleel Johnson. That's one guy. Chauncey Golston. Those are some notable guys. And if you choose them, fair enough. Okay, we're moving on to the linebacker group. And I'm not sure who has the first pick here, but I'll go ahead and take it. Okay. With my middle linebacker, how can I go with anybody else but the outlaw, Josie Jewell?
Yeah, I knew you were going to take him.
One of the coolest guys. I personally am in line with a lot of, what he is and what he does. I loved him as a player. I wish some of the Iowa teams he was on was a little bit better, even though 2015 was a really strong team. And by the way, guys, I am going to be doing a reaction video on it's basically the title of the video is The Time Christian McCaffrey Dominated Iowa, and I'm going to rewatch those painful antics. But either way, I have the outlaw, Josie Jewell. Who do you have, Dean?
Okay, well, if we're going to go with the middle linebacker, I'm going to go with Fred Barr.
Fred Barr? Wow.
Yeah.
I hardly even remember that guy. I really do. So, all right, Dean, who do you have at your other outside linebacker?
Outside linebacker, I've got Chad Greenway.
Nice. That's an excellent pick. I'm not sure how you choose anybody else there. For me, I'm going to go with Christian Kirksey, one of the most underrated linebacking groups that Iowa had. And if one or two possessions changed just a little bit, that team with Anthony Hitchens, Christian Kirksey, and James Morris, they could have easily been a 9-10 win season or team, but I am going to go with Christian Kirksey, the tackling machine. Who do you have, Dean? Or actually, I'm first, at the next linebacker. And my last linebacker, I could have went with Anthony Hitchens, the tackling machine, and I almost did. Matter of fact, I might just do it. But actually, I'm going to go with Ben Neiman. The dude did not get the credit he deserved. And on that 2015 Iowa team, he was incredible, absolutely incredible. The outlaw got all the credit, but for me, it is Mr. Ben Neiman. Who do you have, Dean?
With the other linebacker, I'm going to go with Abdul Hodge.
Yeah,
that would put Chad Greenway and Abdul Hodge back together again,
yeah.
disrupting a lot of people, a lot of quarterbacks.
I like that selection. I really, really do. Okay, we're going to choose 2 corners and 2 safeties, and in either of those, you can put one of the cash guys in there if you think that they are that good to where you'll put them in. I might just do that. Dean, who do you have with your first corner?
My first corner is Bob Sanders.
Wow. Well, he's a safety. Hold on. He's a safety.
He is, hasn't he?
So let's you can have him for the safety. Let's push him back. Who do you have for a corner? Let's push him back.
Okay. So the corner would be Desmond King. Was he a safety too?
Dang it. That's who I was going to choose. Desmond King. I should have just let Dean have it. Desmond King. How does it get better than that? It's funny. Dean thinks Bob Sanders is a corner, but he's actually a safety. But honestly, he was that good. He probably could have played corner. I'm going to go. Go ahead.
This is what I did is I had decided to add the cash on my list. Instead of having Bob Sanders at the safety, I moved him to cash so that I could have my all-star team on the field.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. Nice, but when you eliminated the cash, I had to quickly drop him to a corner.
He would have been a very nice cash. I'm gonna go with Micah Hyde, and he did play a little safety, in the NFL. But honestly, I'm not sure I can remember a more. He's a gamer. He is a natural athlete. In college, that's what we called a guy like him. Just a gamer, just so naturally gifted. I'm going to go with Micah Hyde. And with my second corner, I am going, since Dean already has Desmond King, I'm going to go with Josh Jackson, who had a very similar season to Desmond King a year after Desmond King had it. Josh Jackson should have won the Jim Thorpe Award. An excellent season. Mm-hmm. He struggled a little bit in the NFL. I think he can get it back on track, but I'm going to go with Josh Jackson. Go ahead, Dean. Who do you have with your last corner spot?
Oh, my last corner would be Brett Greenway or Greenwood. Is it Greenwood or Greenway?
It's Greenwood. I think he's a safety, but you can put him at corner. Some other notable corners that you could put out there. Greg Maben, BJ Lowry. Let me see here. Those are the 2 that come to mind. Amari Spivey. Guys like that. For whatever reason, Sean Prater. Those are some corners that come to mind. And all right, Dean, you're first with the safety. Who do you got?
I'd like to take Tyler Sash.
Nice.
Sash.
Excellent interceptions guy. Died fatally. I think it was an overdose. But he truly had an excellent career. I think I was going to choose him. For me, I am going to take my guy, Amani Hooker, who is a cash, but he could have played anywhere on the field. What is better? I'm going to play it right now. What is better than Amani Hooker's interception against Ohio State? We're going to watch it to close this podcast out. And Iowa ended up putting the smackdown on Ohio State. And my last safety that I'm going to pick, since Dean already chose Bob Sanders and I have Amani Hooker, and I was going to choose my guy, Tyler Sash. This is difficult. Iowa, has not put out a ton of phenomenal. They've had a few great safeties, but not a ton. I'm going to go with Geno Stone. I really think he was one of the best safeties that Phil Parker had. And I think he would have benefited a lot by having one more season. But there you have it, folks. There you have mine and Dean's all Kirk Ferentz, all defensive team. And I want you guys to let us know what you guys think, where you guys agree, where you guys disagree. I think you guys will disagree with, putting safeties at corner, but it's all good. We'll take the heat on that one. I think it's pretty funny. I'm going to throw up the pick six that Amani Hooker had, and I think we'll be able to hear the sound as well. You guys will be able to hear it on the podcast. Oh, sorry. I had this.
On first down and 10, J.K. Dobbins is the single setback. They send him out in motion to the right. All sorts of time for Bell, and it's intercepted. It's picked off right away. Intercepted Amani Hooker. Pick six.
Oh, yeah.
Unreal. I was going crazy when that happened. I really was. I was going nuts. It was one of the coolest things I had ever seen. And it was absolutely amazing. That is right around the time that I began this journey. And it has been phenomenal every step of the way. All right, guys, we are going to close out this show. I'm going to give you guys my final thoughts here. Listen, Iowa is in a fantastic spot as far as all the sports. Football is in a great spot. One thing that I complain about is I do think that Iowa fans, not all, but some struggle to see what Iowa can become. Because listen, guys, Nebraska, if they could become what they became, Iowa can, maybe not that, but they can become absolutely incredible. And, at the end of the day, as I said last week, Iowa should not be losing. After coming off a top 15 finish, Iowa should not be losing to new head coach Brett Bielema at the University of Illinois. We're not talking about Wisconsin. We're not talking about Ohio State, where people stay home to play for those schools. We're talking about the Illinois Fighting Illini. That is not okay, and that I will not stand for. I will not put up with. I will not have it. I will not. I'm not joking. I am getting upset about this, but I'm going to cool back a little bit because at the end of the day, I'm not the one screwing it up like they are. And, listen, guys, I myself went through the recruiting process, not at this level, but I did. And somebody messaged me and asked me to tell, for the show what the recruiting experience is. And, really all I can say is that, you go to some recruiting periods and coaches can evaluate you. And when they feel that they should offer you, they offer you guys. You can go to camps in person, but really how it goes, if you have an offer, you go and visit officially. Coaches are in contact with you virtually every single day up until that point in time. And you go to the official visit. And I do have some pretty cool stories maybe naughty stories. I don't know what word to put on it besides that. But I'll just say this, the official visit weekend is more than what you can imagine. It is absolutely incredible. And it is awesome. So that's just a little kind of slow play, but guys, Iowa should not lose to Illinois and Brett Bielema, and they should not be losing to Iowa State, who has had one good year in about 20 years. I don't give a dang about Matt Campbell. I don't care about him at all. Iowa should not be losing. I don't care about the allegations that that the negative recruiting and all that stuff. Iowa should be doing better. They can do better. And at this point, guys, Iowa is going to have to find under the radar guys. They're probably going to have to find some graduate transfers, some guys in the transfer portal, some guys from JUCO. But the bottom line is Iowa has swung and missed on a lot of guys. They have a good group of guys, but they have swung and missed. Anyways, Dean, any last words before we head out of here?
One of the things, I heard on a Locked On Hawkeye podcast, he said that he had talked to Kirk Ferentz about a month ago, and Kirk had seemed to be resigned to the fact that he was going to accept a smaller class this year, and he was going to put all of his focus into his 23 class.
Which I said that on Facebook. I posted that it seemed that Iowa was putting more resources. Actually, and I said on the podcast last week that Iowa was going to be putting more resources into getting that phenomenal in-state class in the 2023 class to stay home at Iowa. And it seems like some of the remaining guys that Iowa is putting a lot of resources in are guys like Xavier Nwangpa and four-star Hunter Deo. I'm not saying it's an excuse because it's not. There are still some guys that Iowa should have landed because here's the deal. They still wanted the guys that chose other schools. They wanted them enough to talk to them, but they failed. But that is true. And I'm glad you brought it up. But here's the good news, guys. It's a long ways away. Who knows what guys are going to get fired? Who knows what guys are going to take an NFL job? It is a long, long ways away. Iowa, once the stadium is filled back up, it will be phenomenal. And the good news is 2023 is already off to a great start. 2022 is not a terrible class. It's a good class. It's just small. And there have been guys that have gone elsewhere that it's like, dang, we should have got him. But in the scope of things, it is not that bad. So keep your head up and watch out for what's happening. Me and Dean have you totally squared away here. We're going to hook it up, and we hope you guys enjoy it. And again, be sure to hit that subscribe button on the Nolan Hawkeye YouTube channel. And when you guys listen to the podcast, if you guys can listen through Anchor, that would be great. And be sure to go to 247hawkeye.com. And last but not least, be sure to like, comment, and share. It really helps us a lot. And for me and Dean, who live all the way out here in California, it's a way for us to keep in communication with you guys. And without further ado, D-Bat, don't be a pussy willow. And facts over feelings, because your feelings don't matter. Love y'all. See you, Dean. Go Hawks.